Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Together Apart video series. As I mentioned in my video last week, we are in the Jewish period of time called the 3 weeks, which is when we begin mourning the destruction of the first and second temple in Jerusalem and our subsequent exile. These 3 weeks culminate in the holiday of Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, which is a fast day when we mourn and grieve this terrible destruction. Now, one of the most significant conversations that our tradition invites us to have during these 3 weeks and on Tisha B'Av is why the temple was destroyed. On one level, of course, the answer is that the Babylonian and Roman empires were simply stronger militarily than we were. But there's a deeper spiritual conversation here as well. There's a deeper spiritual question at stake here about what was plaguing us spiritually that enabled our defeat. And in our tradition, the Talmud is the place where this conversation is happening. And one of the strongest answers that we get from the Talmud is that what was plaguing us spiritually that led to the temple's destruction was what was called sinat chinam, which means baseless hatred or hatred without any cause. Even though people at the time were studying Torah and doing mitzvot, and were even doing acts of kindness here and there was nonetheless this culture of baseless hatred which pervaded the community. This hatred is what led to our ultimate downfall and destruction in Jerusalem. Now, for me, when I look at this teaching from the Talmud, I cannot help but think of what's been happening in our wider community over the last week. I'm thinking about the racially motivated shooting that took place in Winthrop that took the lives of 2 people of color. I'm thinking about the terrible stabbing of Rabbi Shlomo Naginsky this past week in Brighton in front of the Shiloh House, which was a devastating act against our community. And we see this teaching and we can just see and we feel the ways that all of us are suffering at the culture of baseless hatred that we have today. That we're feeling not only the destruction of human life that this culture is creating, but we are feeling the ways that it's affecting our spirits. And it's affecting our spirits too in a devastating way. So as we wrestle with this reality of today's sinat chinam, of today's baseless hatred, I want to invite us also to bring to mind another teaching in the Talmud about why the temple was destroyed. Because in another place in the Talmud, it teaches that the temple was destroyed because people did not rebuke each other. In the face of this culture of hatred, everyone lowered their faces to the ground. Everyone just went along with their days, lived their individual lives, and willed themselves not to see what was going on. In other words, the problem was that no one took responsibility for this culture, and no one took the responsibility to try and make change for helping the community foster a different culture, one of love and of mutual responsibility. And it was this lack of responsibility that ultimately led to the temple's destruction. So with this in mind, I want to invite all of us to reflect. How are you experiencing this moment of hatred in our wider community? And what do you see as our responsibility with regards to this culture? What is our responsibility with regards to changing our culture? As usual, I look forward to hearing your responses to these questions. You can reach me at rabbi@bethtorah.org. I look forward to hearing what's on your heart and your mind.